Welcome back to Command Stack. I'm Ken.
And I'm Garrett.
Ryan and John cannot join us. We decided we were going to do something pretty quick. We have a new announcement that came out today. And Garrett, we're talking about Worlds at Adepticon 2025.
That's right, Ken. So it's been a real roller coaster of emotions here for the Armada community and X-Wing and Legion, honestly. But initially, yeah, so it's April 30th, 2024, and we have received official word that Atomic Max Games and Adepticon are going to put on a Worlds Championship. And Ken, this is different than last year's because now it's open invite, which means anybody has a chance to go to this now. And that means there's going to be 4 days still, like Adepticon. The first 2 days are going to be 2 separate qualifying heats. And so what that means is you have 2 chances, or probably just 1 chance. I don't know if they'll let you play in both heats. We don't know. But that's a good thing to speculate about. Is that if you make that cut, you get to play on Saturday for a World Championship. And then, again, we don't know. But then there's might be another cut, might be just a cumulative of tournament points. We don't know. On Sunday, you'll play a 4th day, or a 3rd day, I guess, technically. And then they'll crown a champion after that. And this is for all of their 5 games, specifically Legion, X-Wing Armada, and then Shatterpoint and MCP. I'm not really sure how their world stuff works. So, but yeah, so here we are, open invite. So this ties into their making things more inclusive. Now you don't have to win a Sword Champ or World Open qualifier to get to Adepticon in the first place. So no last chance qualifier. Basically, everybody goes to a last chance qualifier to try and get into the actual tournament while you're there. I want to say, I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, if it's not invite only, will the competition be as good? And I want to say, if you're dropping the time, money, and energy to come to Adepticon to play in the Worlds, you're probably playing against very competent people. Like the barrier to entry of this is how serious you are about the game, right? But yeah, what do you think, Ken, about this?
I think a couple things. So to your last point, I think we will find a few local people from the Milwaukee and Chicago area that, because of convenience, that they're going to make a shot at trying to get one of the heats for the qualifying sessions. What I like about this is, let's make the assumption, just for the sake of argument, that you can only go into one of the 2 heats. You can't be in both. Let's just say that.
Yeah,
and maybe what they're
it's
probably
a good assumption.
right. And maybe what they'll do is say, okay, we have 200 slots available, and you are going to randomly get put into one of the 2 heats. That would be probably the best way to do it, assuming that's what they're doing. So let's assume again for the moment that's what's happening. You're going to get assigned on Thursday. You're going to play there. You won't be playing Armada on Friday. You maybe get in on Saturday, and then if you do well, it's Sunday. Maybe that'll be 6 rounds or something, 2-day tournament, or it'll be 4 rounds and then a cut for the final 3 rounds on day the equivalent of day 3.
Yeah.
Don't. But what I like about this is you can have a couple local folks that are willing to go just to play in something this competitive, and then have a shot at getting into the World Championship. But like you said, you're going to have your players, whether they're coming from Poland, whether they're coming from Australia, or Spain, France, Mexico, wherever, are going to come out to Milwaukee, and they're going to be serious. Because you're right, if you're going to make that kind of a trip, whether you're flying trains, planes, and automobiles, whatever it is, you're going to make your way out there because you feel you have a shot to be world champion. And that's going to be a fun, exciting 2 days to see who comes out to the tournament. And
Yeah,
it really opens up the field.
And this harkens back to before I played Armada. The old Worlds under Fantasy Flight was this. It was just open. So if we go back in time and look at the forums, you can see people were frustrated when they went to an invite system, which is, some things never change. History doesn't repeat, it just rhymes, right? But I was gonna, to your point about 200 people, that's another thing we can speculate about. So Adepticon's moving to Milwaukee at the Bard Center. Is that how you say it? Bard?
Baird.
Anyways, it's huge.
Mhm.
And the room for AMG's games is huge. So we won't be spun off into our own special space this time. We'll be back in the absolute chaos of a convention hall. And listen, I don't know how many players are going to be, but they've got space for, oh, I don't know,
A
what,
lot.
quadruple of what we had last year.
So here's
Uh,
some interesting factual information specifically about where we were and where we're going. So the Schaumburg Convention Center had roughly 350,000 square feet of available convention space. And I believe that may have included the Hyatt where we were at for Armada last year. I could be wrong, but it's in that ballpark. The Baird Center, and this is the same place that they had Gen Con 20 years ago, except that they've revitalized it, made it better, and expanded. It's 1.3 million square feet in total. Now, my guess, Adepticon is not going to take all 1.3 million, but even if they took half of that, or like 650, 700,000 square feet, that's twice the size of what they had.
right. So like we'll have our own Schaumburg
Right.
basically to fit all
In
of
a
our
way,
stuff
yeah. That's kind of the best way to look at it.
in.
A giant room would be all like atomic mass games, and I'm sure they'll have something the same size to do Warhammer and BattleTech and everything else. But
Right.
there's opportunities there where I don't believe we're going to be crunched and squashed table to table. I think there'll be room to maneuver around. The one other thing that I was thinking about, because I agree that this harkens back to the FFG days of open invites. But if you only can go into one of those two heats, you get a day to either play side Armada games or a day to explore the con.
Yeah. And there's no reason to not think or to think there won't be side events because last year's side events were or this year's side events were really good.
Yeah.
And there was stuff all day. And I'm guessing because we don't know again, they'll do that ticket thing again. So everyone knows the more events you participate in, the more tickets you get to trade for prizes. So it pays to play. Um, but yeah, so anyways, I'm still like the fact that we found out we're getting worlds again today, I'm like still almost speechless because Ken, I honestly thought we weren't getting worlds, right? Um, with the announcement of the grand tournaments. So now it's like we've got the best of both worlds. We have grand tournaments for regionals for people who can't afford to stop their life and go to Adepticon.
Right.
They can still participate in those and get prizes. And if you're listening to this now, if your region did not apply, it is too late.
Yeah.
May 1st was the deadline, um, which is unfortunate. Short timing there. But I'm sure all the World Open qualifiers who were set up last year will have their stuff in. So you'll be able to go to whichever one was closest to you still. And hopefully maybe some sooner ones, like in Kentucky. Let's hope, fingers crossed. But yeah, so and I want to say, if you want to go to DEFCON, obviously go to grand tournaments because you need practice
Mhm.
against competitive players in a competitive environment. Because playing 4 rounds of competitive of Armada is very draining. You
Yeah.
need mental fortitude and practice. So, anyways, so we got grand tournaments, we
Mhm.
got Worlds 2025, open invite,
Mhm.
and I that's fun. I think it's fun that you can just go and sign up. Again, it's a game. I
Mhm.
get it. It's a competitive game, but it's also cool that like, you know, if you can't go to a thing to get a ticket because life just gets in the way, you've got 6 kids and you just can't do it, right? You can still go to Adepticon
Yeah.
and potentially do it. And the best part about Adepticon and the Worlds is the people there.
Mhm.
Seeing all these amazing people from Poland and the UK and Australia, etc. Right? That's the best part.
I'm
Um,
that's the part I'm looking forward to the most.
yeah,
Adepticon is the one time a year that John and I get together with you and Ryan. 'Cause you guys live a couple hours away.
yeah.
We'll have to change that. One day maybe we'll go down to Kentucky just for fun. Maybe we'll invade the store championship or your grand tournament
Our
that you may or may not
GT,
have right now. Who knows?
yeah.
And then I'll win it because I won't be broadcasting. And that's the key, folks, is I stream so that I can give someone else an opportunity to win. I am totally
Yes.
getting a lot of feedback on that comment
He
right
is a
there.
generous Armada player.
Um, Yeah. Well, I want to be entertaining when I'm on the channel, so I can't win all the time. I mean,
Exactly. Uh, let's see here. I wanted to say the last piece of the puzzle that we don't
Mhm.
have for this organized play season, let's call it, is store championships.
Mhm.
Obviously, we have all seen the Legion kit that exists, but we have not seen our little brother X-Wing or our kits yet. So I'm curious to see when they'll announce that. The basically we don't know. It could just again GTs were dropped of us out of the blue. This was dropped on us out of the blue. So any news we get is always out of the blue. So
I mean,
uh,
that's been
the fact,
consistent with Armada. A look at
yeah,
Rapid Reinforcements 1, that just poof, here it is.
yeah.
Our points adjustment in October, poof, there it is.
So
It's just
I can't definitively say anything. The
no.
fact that we have worlds now, I feel like it would be a smaller leap to say we'll get a store champ kit, right? So I don't know. We'll see. I want store champ kits because they're great for the community.
I,
Uh,
I would like to think that if you figure Worlds is going to be your premier and top level players, there's no feeder system into it, but that's okay. This is where everyone wants to go to get that experience and meet all their friends again from around the world. Your GTs are 32 person minimums. So that's a bigger event. And like you alluded to, this is where you have a group of individuals that I can't afford the flight and I'm not going to take a boat and I can't swim across the ocean to get to Milwaukee, but I can go to a grand tournament that's in, my country, the next one over, and still play against a lot of really top players in that kind of environment and get a similar experience. It won't be quite the same, but for those individuals, that's, I think, going to be their equivalent of Worlds. And then you're going to have your folks that are going to show up. I would be I, I'd be surprised if Peter doesn't try to come back to Adepticon next
yeah,
year
listen,
to
Team Poland's
reclaim
gonna
it.
be there,
Yeah,
Ken. All right.
they'll be there. I'm sure James Malador is going to come back because he wants to get his title back. So
Yep.
the point is people are going to go to Worlds because they want to go to Worlds, and,
Right.
and if you can afford it, you will. Grand tournaments are a great way to go about that. Now, again, grand tournaments, 32 person minimum. I kind of am in agreement with you, Garrett, that I think there's going to be some kind of store kit of some sort that's good for 8 to 16 players that may do nothing other than here's like a couple of cool cards and a reason to go to a tournament setting.
Yeah.
And it might be like, do you remember the old OP kits? They were like quarterly kits at FFG where it was a small little box. Here's, 18 cards and
Yeah.
a couple nifty ones for the winners. I can
Yes.
see something like that on a store champ kit. It doesn't have to be big, but that would be enough to get people to go to the stores. And that's where the real action comes into play because that's where your kitchen table players come out and play the game.
Right.
You might
That's
find
where
that
your
diamond
locals
in the
go.
rough that's going to win the next Worlds.
Yeah, I mean, you got to start somewhere. So, oh man, Ken, the things I would do for quarterly store kits. Oh my gosh, that'd be awesome.
Hey.
I'd be like to see that come back. But as far as we know right now, it'll just mirror the Legion kit, so it'll be
Yeah,
one for the season. And again, the season is May to May, so it's really long. It's a
right.
year long, 12 months. Um, which is interesting because the worlds. So some GTS will be after Worlds by
Mhm.
this math because Worlds is in March. So it'll be kind of interesting. But yeah, obviously I'm really excited. I can say for certain, Ion Radio will be in the building.
Oh, we'll be
Um,
there. We'll be there.
we're gonna lug in the cameras. We haven't got the official word that we're streaming, but
I mean, we've only done it 2 years in a row, so
yeah. I'm saying if I was in Vegas, I would put it all on it.
you
Right.
put some money on us streaming in
Yeah.
2025.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I'm super excited.
those decisions I know are made much closer to the event. So
Right.
official word won't come out until then. And it might be someone else, but let's be serious, guys. Pretty good chance you will see me and Garrett sitting in a booth with our nifty shirts and some cups of coffee
There
and
will be a
talking about
booth,
Armada.
at least at minimum. We're gonna be there in shirts.
We'll have shirts in a booth at a minimum. I like that, Garrett. We'll do something fun. But yeah, no, it's exciting news. It's really good news, and the reception to this has been
Surprising
very
news,
positive.
right?
Well, it is surprising. Well,
Yeah.
you know, I I'm going to say this because I read too much into things, but when the GT announcement first came out, I'm like, but they're just talking about the series going into Worlds they're getting rid of. Now that's me taking a giant leap of faith. And then
Yeah.
Adepticon on Facebook was saying, stay tuned for an announcement. I'm like, I betcha. It was one of those things where it just me, maybe I was really hopeful,
Like I said, roller coaster of emotions.
but
But we're now going down. So that's
yeah,
nice.
I think we're still going up. We're riding
Let's
that high
let's
for a little
let's
while.
see what happens next, right? Uh I hope
Announcement of
more
new
good news.
plastic, right? I mean, so
Oh, that'd be wild.
nah, they got to
That'd be
keep
wild.
that one for a while. They wouldn't let us know about that till later. Maybe mini extravaganza, but
Where's
we'll
that
find.
rapid reinforcements, baby?
That's a distinct possibility. I think another points change would
That
be a
too.
great thing, especially on a lot of that wave one stuff
I'm
where it's
greedy. I
clear.
want both.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's be a little greedy. We can be greedy when we're speculating, right?
That's right. I'm sure
I,
everyone's like, if you haven't heard this news until this would be really shocking to listen to. But
given that we are probably going to release this at least 12 to 24 hours after the announcement has been made, I'm sure most of the hype has died down by now.
probably.
But
Although I know people were really bummed. So this is gonna lift a lot of spirits.
it will.
A real morale booster, to say the least, to get people excited again.
Mhm.
Because people I don't worlds is a weird thing in our games, Legion, X-Wing, and Armada. Like even if you're not going, it's just like one of those things that needs to be there as like part of the community. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I like playing soccer, but I also like, watching the World Cup. You know what I mean?
Well, and I think part of that, Garrett, is because there's some stakes involved.
Yeah.
There's, and it's not necessarily about who won the worlds, although to an extent it is. I mean, come on, everyone, is
Yeah.
loving
It's
Peter right
fun.
now. It's
Yeah.
fun to
It's
be the world champion.
right. And it's fun to be like, Europe has the title, and then specifically Poland has the title. And
Mhm.
so now there's a rivalry, right? You're like, okay, North America, what are we doing? Okay, let's pull it
And
together.
see, Garrett, what that means is you and I have to go play.
I
And yeah,
obviously
yeah,
no more
clearly.
streaming. Just we're
Yeah.
going to the
We're stop
heats.
streaming. We'll put down, an Ion radio flag instead of a Polish flag on the battlefield when we win.
Exactly.
So that was probably one of my favorite moments of Worlds was at the very end. Team Poland really was enjoying their win. And
They sure were.
hats off to them. They were having a good time. And that's one of the things that you're only going to get at Worlds. You won't get that at a grand tournament. You might, but it wouldn't be the
Right.
same
It's
thing.
not the same. Right.
Right. And this is again where, you have a lot of different people from a lot of different corners of the planet. Although, can you have a corner of the planet if it's round?
It's flat, but that's a topic for another time.
But the point is, you have all these people coming together at one little spot to enjoy the game of Armada. And I think that alone is reason to keep doing Worlds. So I hope that it continues for many years to come. And we'll find out. But right now, the best news we have is that we know Armada is going to have some level of organized play support through at least May of next year. So we're running on the next 12 months of goodness here, Garrett.
Yeah. So a lot more tournaments to talk about. As they come, like we'll keep doing that in Command Stack, obviously covering
Of
tournaments and
course. Yeah.
GTS.
Mhm.
Because I mean, we look at the meta, we look at the players,
Mhm.
and I'm excited to see how we move through. I really want to see another errata just to absolutely train wreck everyone's play style, because that's good for every game.
We'll
But
get another Anakin Skywalker type change.
and I wanted to say, I think 2015 was the first ever Worlds
That sounds right.
for Armada, so this will be the 10th anniversary.
Oh,
Um,
that means we have to do something special.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but
We
that's
don't
kind of
either.
cool. 10 years of
10 years
Armada
is long.
Worlds is a lot. I guess we skipped like 2 years, but everyone had to skip everything, so
Yeah.
it doesn't count.
We skipped it. It doesn't mean that the counter wasn't still going, right?
That's right. Yeah, it's still been 10 years, which is
Yeah.
wild that this game came out in 2015. So
Thought it came out a little earlier than that, but maybe not.
yeah, I always waffle between 14 to 15.
That probably was about that. But in either case, you're right. 2015 was kind of the full series.
Oh,
Maybe it was
oh,
24.
maybe I'm wrong. It was released March 27th, 2015.
Really?
I feel that feels wrong. I don't agree with that. That's just
Eh,
what the internet says. I could be incorrect.
I'm sure there are people that will sit there and let us know.
March 27, 2015. That sounds more correct. And I bet they did early releases like every other game does.
That could be. That could be.
Interesting. Awesome. Well,
Either
anyways,
case, a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to going to Worlds. Looking forward to the new center here at in Milwaukee, the Baird Center. And it'll be great, Garrett, just to get together once again with you and Ryan and John. And I'm assuming Adrian's going to join us once again.
yeah, he doesn't have a
Open up our
choice.
mouth.
Okay.
Yeah, well, yeah. Now he's part of the team now for Worlds, so he doesn't. You're right. He doesn't get a choice.
That's right.
So
You bought the coffee cup and the polo, so it's a
yeah,
signed
I
contract.
mean, he's signed up now for life. Hopefully, Ruben will be back to be our official roadie once again. I got to get
Yeah,
him a
hopefully.
nice T-shirt for that. It's like Ion Radio official roadie or something like that. I don't know. We'll let him set it up, and then you and I could just hang out, right?
That'd be nice. Yeah. On cables. But anyways, I don't really have any more speculation or news though. If you want to sign us off, Ken.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. Again, this was the intention of this was a short mini pod to just go over the fact that, hey, Worlds is still going on. We're going to get to that, in late March of 2025. You will be able to catch well, we're assuming the entire Ion Radio crew, but I know I'll be there and Garrett will be there and probably Ryan and John and Adrian as
Yeah.
well. But
And one last thing. I know I keep saying one last thing. If you want to go to this thing, start looking at hotels and get ready for when the tickets come online because there's gonna be
yeah,
people clicking that mouse button as fast as they possibly can. So
I suspect, like usual, most cons do this, that Adepticon probably has a block of rooms that
yeah,
they're holding on to that'll be released later. So stay tuned to the Adepticon page to find out when that's going to
yeah.
happen.
And like you're
Because
competing
whenever
with
they
all the
release it, boom, they're going to be gone.
right because you're competing with the 40K players, and there is 40,000 of them
Right.
specifically. So good luck.
So we'll see what happens and we'll go from there. But again, exciting news, good time for Armada. It will it'll be a day long remembered, Garrett.
That's my
Have
gosh.
to get my Star Wars quote in there
That's
somewhere.
yes.
All right. Thanks everyone for listening in or watching if you're checking this out on YouTube. And until next time, I'm Ken,
And I'm Garrett.
and you've been watching or listening to Command Stack.